White House Correspondents Dinner. Look at you all dressed up in formal wear, dresses, tuxedos. I haven't seen this much black since every page of the Trump Epstein files. We're going to have fun tonight. And I'm happy you decided to stay, Mr. President. And don't worry, if we bruise your ego, it'll only make your hands look less disgusting. Now, the president didn't want me to tell any jokes about him tonight, but he also didn't want to pay me $130,000 to shut up. So here we are. Sorry, mushroom. Ice, baby, ice. By the way, in the unfortunate event that our president has a medical emergency tonight, do we have a doctor in the house? Do we have a Jesus in the house? I always confuse them too. You think you're Jesus. This guy, every time he walks into a room, people say, Christ, he's back. You're looking good, though, Mr. President. Who did your makeup? Kraft Singles? As the president will tell you repeatedly until you beg him to stop, President Trump has accomplished so much during his second term. He passed new incentives for oil and gas. He put the brakes on solar and wind. That will be your legacy, sir. Breaking wind and passing gas.
Donald Trump's envoy to Greenland got a rude awakening when he took a trip there over the past few days to harass and intimidate the Greenlandic people. They rejected him. They did not show up when the United States was holding a ceremony for a new American consulate there. The leadership in Greenland made it very clear that they were drawing red lines around their sovereignty, that they would not agree to the United States conditions of permanent military bases without approvals, that the U.S. can get veto powers over Greenlandic deals with other countries and companies. And you had Jeff Landry, this pathetic governor from Louisiana, who went there very creepy, wearing these camo pants to harass and kind of torture the population. He got basically forced out. And as he was leaving, you can see him just being angry as the press was saying, so, seems like you didn't get anything done here, and it seems like you were just here to harass the people. And he was just starting to lash out at the reporters. Let me show you as he basically runs away as the reporter's like, where are you going, bud? Where you going? You're going back home? Bye. See you later. Good luck going back to Louisiana, buddy. Stay out of Greenland. Here, play this clip right here.
Hold on a second. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you all something. When's the last time that any high-level diplomats came to Greenland, whether it's from Europe or not, before Donald Trump?
Well, that says more about you.
No. That's not, no. That's a question that Greenlanders should ask themselves. Who cares more about Greenlanders than the Trump administration and the president? Because seemingly before the president, no one cared.
But why don't you build relations rather than just come without an invitation? Governor, you came without an invitation.
Well, wait a minute. Let me ask you a question. If you showed up in Louisiana, am I going to throw you out because you weren't invited?
No.
This place was open. This conference is open to the public.
Governor,
and so why wouldn't you? The reception's been great.
Really?
Yeah, it has.
How did the meeting go with the Prime Minister yesterday?
I thought it went great.
Really?
Yeah. Why? You think it went bad?
No, I'm curious. What did you guys discuss?
We just discussed the opportunities that we had. I flat out asked them, what were the issues with the United States and the relationship between Greenland and the United States before the president. And you know what? You know what the Prime Minister, what I got out of that meeting? Mm-hmm. I got out of the meeting that before Donald Trump, the United States was ignoring Greenland.
Speaking of jets, President Trump is said to be hashing out a deal that would give the U.S. government up to a 90% ownership stake in Spirit Airlines. And who better to own Spirit than the man who ran his own airline into the ground? We're planning to invest $500 million. What is Spirit going to do with 500 men? They have one Economy Plus seat, and it's in the pilot's lap. But Donald Trump needs a miracle. His poll numbers are way down, and I, for one, cannot think of a better way to get Americans to rally around him than spending $500 million of our dollars to save the least popular airline in the history of the planet Earth. Are we really going to throw a life raft to an airline that doesn't even have a life raft? You know, I flew Spirit recently, and they wouldn't let us off the plane until everyone Venmo'd the pilot for gas money.
What was the use of no chance? What was the use of repeating the bombing? You did it for 38 days. Well, no, we did, and you did not get the political changes in Iran. No, I had a total military victory. But the fake news, guys like you write incorrectly. You're a fake guy, and guys like you write about it incorrectly. We had a total military victory. We knocked out their entire Navy. We knocked out their entire Air Force. We knocked out all of their anti-aircraft weaponry. We knocked out all of their radar.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the Midas Touch Network. That was Donald Trump aboard Air Force One answering a question from David Sanger of the New York Times about the Trump administration's inability to achieve its political objectives in the war with Iran. Trump launches into the same predictable tirade about America's military achievements without acknowledging at all that the goal of military action is to achieve political ends. That's a nod to Clausewitz for the military history nerds out there. But as I have said before, this war is using all of the wrong metrics for success.
And community are left grieving for this incredible young woman, remembering what they called her. They said she had just this most contagious laughter, and when she walked into a room, she lit up that room. And I've heard that from so many people. I spoke to some of her family.
And that would be an okay thing to say if it were in any way true. According to Ruby's sister, Donald Trump never spoke to anyone in her family. And in fact, I had a hunch, so I looked it up because I know the only paper he reads is the New York Post. Seems pretty clear he lifted that moving anecdote from the Post. Her sister said she will be remembered as being full of life and laughter. Those who were around her would know she was silly, made everyone laugh. She'd brighten up the room with her beautiful smile and laugh.
Most contagious laughter, and when she walked into the room, she lit up that room. And I've heard that from so many people. I spoke to some of her family.
An annual tradition since George Washington delivered the first one back in 1790.
Mr. Speaker, I present the inaugural recipient of the 2026 FIFA Peace Prize, the rightful winner of the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize, the undisputed champion of beautiful clean coal, the chairman of the Trump Kennedy Center, chairman of the Trump Board of Peace, semi-finalist for the Carl Jr. Presidential Fitness Award, Captain Kangaroo. He doesn't wear diapers, and he had no idea his best friend was a pedophile. President Donald J. Trump.
All the Trump cult members were there, including Congressman Troy Nehls, who showed up wearing some very festive netwear.
You can see the very warm welcome that he's getting from his Republican colleagues there in the chamber.
Now look at this. Yeah, he's wearing that. Special thanks to the serial killer on Etsy who made that for him. In a break from tradition, the president and first lady invited separate guests. Usually, the first lady invites guests to support the president's agenda. She chose to bring her own guests, so the state of their union is twin beds tonight. But you know this was a big deal because all the president's children were there. Don Jr., Eric, Ivanka, Barron, even Tiffany showed up. Usually they only get together like this for his depositions. Well, but he needed the support. Trump's popularity is at its lowest point of his second term. Chlamydia is now more popular than Donald Trump. So he needed them. They came. Seated behind the president were the vice president and the speaker of the House. That is not... Behind the president's not a fun spot to be in because everyone's watching you the whole time. You're right there in the shot, so every little move you make gets scrutinized. And poor J.D. Vance, all that standing and sitting on the chair got him kind of worked up.
Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world. The hottest.
Trump reportedly spent a lot of time rehearsing this speech, if you can believe it, much more than in previous years. He even had a lectern brought into his private residence so he could practice, and it paid off. Hannibal Lecter, really, he knocked this out of the park.
Look, nobody stands up. These people are crazy. I'm telling you, they're crazy.
amazing. Boy, oh boy. We're lucky we have a country. With people like this, Democrats are destroying our country, but we've stopped it just in the nick of time, didn't we?
Go ahead. FIFA Peace Prize would have been better, but this is nice too. I really didn't expect this. What a speech it wasn't, huh? I can't believe America missed an all-new Will Trent for this one. It was angry, right? It was an angry speech. The theme of tonight's speech was all foreigners are murderers. And Trump just, he said 0 illegal aliens have been allowed to the United States on his watch, but the door is always open to those who come in legally to be his next wife. So that's something. He bragged about ending DEI. He bragged about kicking 2 million people off food stamps. It was like a Christmas message from the Grinch. Trump applauded the efforts of a World War II vet who liberated an internment camp. At the same time, he is building new ones here in the United States. He claimed gas is down to $1.85 a gallon. When you ramble mostly incoherently for 2 hours, is that technically still a speech, or does it at some point become a conniption? It is amazing. We put him on all the channels to say this stuff. Trump told us in advance that the speech was going to be long, and for once he was telling the truth. We were waiting for the speech to finish before we started shooting the show. He went on so long, we had to start before he said, he's probably still going, right?
Yo, we're diving straight into the ultimate unfiltered showdown between the master of midnight mockery, Jimmy Kimmel, and the leader of the free world, our President Trump. It is an alternate White House Correspondents Dinner host that never quite made it into an official podium, but simply set the internet ablaze. Now, we started off with a monologue, a mock in the White House Correspondents Dinner routine. I mean, once you know about Kimmel, you know he doesn't play when it comes to Trump. Kimmel joked that the address went on so long that the standing ovations were actually politicians attempting to prevent their legs from falling asleep. He brilliantly dismantled the aggressive cinematic immigration framing of the speech, comparing the presentation to a low-budget disaster movie trailer rather than an actual executive summary. I think let's watch more of these clips so that you get to enjoy it for your own self.
Exactly. It's also great to get a break from the news. Somebody catch me up. Is that war Trump said we won on day one 3 months ago over yet? Is that done? We missed a lot of stuff being away for a week. The president made a trip to China to see all the factories where his America First merchandise is made. You got to check on the hats. You can see here he is landing at the airport. They had a red carpet, a bunch of young Chinese women waving American flags to welcome him. They took him to meet President Xi, his counterpart, where they did some hand-holding and a series of pity pats. The president told him how much he loves Panda Express. Next, they danced. They did a little two-step down the line as they reviewed the Chinese army. The soldiers showed the president their shiny bayonets. And then they met some very excited children. How they got them so excited for Trump, I don't know. I think they told him he was SpongeBob, maybe. Trump brought some other rich guys along, CEO of Goldman Sachs, NVIDIA, Tim Cook from Apple was there, and Elon Musk brought his son on the trip. And Elon Musk, we haven't seen him in a little bit, seems to be getting weirder. And then Trump and Xi answered questions from the press.
How were your talks, sir?
Great.
It seemed like he had fun. He eats this stuff up. The pageantry, whenever he visits a foreign land, it's like a 5-year-old at their birthday party. President Xi gave Trump a tour of a private garden in Beijing. It's hundreds of years old. And this is the question Trump asked the translator to ask.
From other countries, presidents and prime ministers, does he bring them?
在其他的国家来的元首啊、总统啊，或者是总理什么的，您作为国家主席，也都会到这边来接待他们吗？
No, Mr. President, we don't bring any of the other leaders here. Just you. You're the only girl for me, okay? He's so embarrassing on these trips.
Donald Trump is panicking as California Governor Gavin Newsom arrived in Washington, D.C. to end Donald Trump's term. You see Donald Trump running scared, leaving Washington, D.C. You see California Governor Gavin Newsom arriving in the Capitol building, meeting with Democratic leadership, looking presidential. You see him here meeting with the Democratic Hispanic Caucus. You see him here meeting with other Democratic leadership. Midas Touch Network was one of the first news outlets to be able to speak with Governor Newsom when he arrived in D.C. Here's what he told our Pablo Manriquez. Let's play this clip.
Governor, quick question for Midas Touch.
Yeah.
What do you make of this $1.776 billion fund that
It's a
Trump's
criminal
proposing for-
enterprise. It's not just corruption. It's not just graft. It's a full-on criminal enterprise, and it needs to be shut down. It needs to be stopped. It's a disgrace. And I count on my congressmen to do it. Sorry.
Then Governor Newsom gave a very big speech in Washington, D.C., where he called out the corruption and criminality within the Trump regime. Here is what he said. Let's play this clip.
This is a corruption story, plain and simple. Trump administration is a corruption story. It's the great grift, and it's taking shape on a daily basis in every way, shape, form. You didn't even mention the $230 million at the DOJ that he's also trying to extract, not just that $10 billion, now $1.8 billion settlement. We've talked a lot about the $400 million plan, which is not $400 million. It was over $900 million in the Pentagon budget to retrofit the plan. We talk about the 8 large-scale projects he has in the Gulf and around the rest of the globe. The fact that he quite literally used the tariff regime in order to get those deals done, particularly the one in Vietnam. We're talking about the kind of corruption at scale we've never seen in our lifetime, including what Witkoff family's doing, what the Kushner family's doing, the Board of Peace, which is really about getting a piece of the Middle East. All of this happened in plain open sight. You saw last week, and the fact that finally he's delivering on the cell phones, another part of the grift. The good old days when it was just about watches, $100,000, sneakers, $60, and cell phones. This is happening at a scale we've never experienced in our lifetime, and he's just winding up. And where's Congress? Where's Johnson?
At 3 times, and now, or this being the 3rd and 4 different times he would try to kill you. Yeah, I'm going to go out there and say Jimmy Kimmel's a smart guy, and I think he's saying a widow, and I think the audience laughed that way. They weren't laughing at an age joke.
I'm not
They
going
were
to
not
try to
laughing
be
at an age joke.
clairvoyant about what Jimmy
It's a weak
meant,
stretch.
But I will say that we played the lead up to the joke so that you could hear the rest of the context. I'm not saying you need to like the joke, but the rest of the joke was the president. What if something were to happen to the president tonight? Is there a doctor in the house or Jesus?
We've been here before several times with Jimmy Kimmel.
Well, I think certainly Donald Trump hopes it's different because this is his opportunity to actually try to win this fight. I mean, there's nothing that enrages him more than being beaten. And that's exactly what happened last fall, which you're referring to, which is that after the FCC sort of jawboned ABC into trying to get Kimmel off the air, they did so for a week. And then he was, after a massive backlash, he was brought back on. And that was the first really, I don't know if it was the first, but it was one of the most important moments when Donald Trump was trying to go after not only the media, but law firms and higher education when there was a real backlash and he was unsuccessful. And I think I talked to people around him that he is very eager to undo that defeat, and he wants another shot at Kimmel, and he was obviously upset about what he said, but that was I don't think that it was an actual fear of that he was calling for violence.
So, yeah, I mean,
Wow.
Look,
It's amazing that we sit at this table and everything is Donald Trump's fault. And when you call and put up a picture of the First Lady.
Welcome.
Jimmy Kimmel is a very funny guy. He takes real life political scenarios and make them real funny, but telling you the truth in plain sight. And I really think I love Jimmy Kimmel about this. This clip where Trump went to China is one of my favorite. So let's just watch it keenly.
He'll give you anything you want. And President Xi played him like a Fatavarius.
He said today, and he said it very publicly, he said the U.S. was declining for the last 4 years. And he He said what President Trump has done in the last 15, 16 months has been virtually a miracle. He said we have the hottest country anywhere in the world.
Wow, he said that, huh? He said we were the hottest. That's so cool. You should give him all our farmland for that. There were no major deals or agreements made on this trip to China. As far as what Trump gleaned from his time spent with the Chinese president, basically this.
But I say about him that if you went to Hollywood and you looked for a leader of China to play a role in a movie,
Central casting.
You couldn't find a guy like him. Even his physical features, he's tall, very tall, and especially for this country, because they tend to be a little bit shorter.
Is there anything else that you learned other than that he's tall? I love watching his mind at work because he's talking, he thinks of something that he definitely shouldn't say. He circles around it, then there's a little pause, and out it pops every time. If nothing else, other than that he's...
Honestly, regardless of the fact that Kimmel pulls up these clips, combines them to make them very interesting, I think Trump himself is a very funny guy. The statement, they are not very tall leaders in this country. It's so funny. With everything happening, things went from a standard political comedy to an absolute network warfare zone. As we transition into early 2026, there was a big fight between Jimmy Kimmel and ABC, all for what happened, I think, to Charlie Kirk. Well, Trump's legendary online habit reached a boiling point when he went out on what can be described as a late-night multi-platform posting spree calling for Jimmy Kimmel to be immediately fired by Disney and ABC. The catalyst, you might ask, a razor-sharp joke where Jimmy Kimmel pointed at Melania Trump during a preview sketch and remarked that she possessed the radiant glow of an expectant widow. Now, let me just pause there for a second. This was a bit funny, and at the same time you could look at it and be like, why would he say that? Because it's at the time when we know there are a lot of people trying to take away people's lives, you get. So it was a bit funny to me, but at the same time, when I thought about it in a deep manner, I was like, But that's Jimmy Kimmel for us. He takes these political scenarios and make them funny. The White House immediately went nuclear after labeling the joke corrosive, but Jimmy Kimmel refused to back down, counterattacking by pointing out that Trump's approval rating looked remarkably identical to James Bond's signature codename 007. Today, everything really boiled down for Trump, and Jimmy Kimmel took the 1-0 win. But well, I think this other clip, it's even gonna be funnier. Let's just watch it.
And the purple of his hand bruises. So you will learn more about the plan for the Olympics over the coming months. But I think I have a great idea for who should be the announcer at the opening ceremonies.
Welcome, Albania, Antigua and Barbuda, Aruba, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Bangladesh, Belize and Bolivia, Burundi, Cabo Verde, Congo, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Equatorial Guinea, Estonia, France, Gambia, Georgia, Ghana, and Guatemala here in Washington, D.C.
You remember that? Remember the song Kokomo by the Beach Boys? It would be fun to hear her do that, right? Well done, Melania. Oh, she's still going?
Greetings, Israel, Kenya, Kosovo, Lithuania, Malta, Malawi, Montenegro, Morocco, Nigeria.
I love watching his mind at work because he's talking, he thinks of something that he definitely shouldn't say. He circles around it, then there's a little pause, and out it pops every time. If nothing else, this man that we call president is a creative genius.
I came up with a new name. I don't know if I should.
I know which one it is.
Democrats. They're dumb. They're dumb. It's
Senegal, Serbia, Seychelles, Sierra Leone, Slovenia, St. Kitts and Nevis, Ukraine, and UAE.
Oh, I guess Zimbabwe couldn't make it. It's probably for the best. And then at the end of
Look, yo, I think Jimmy Kimmel, for me, should be the best late night host. His number says it. It says everything for itself. I don't know how he comes up with his ideas on real time. This clip where he talks about millennia, for me, is so funny. But let's just keep watching.
to get out of it, it was... You know, my wife likes daylight. She likes springing forward, which makes me hate it even more. And now my kids and I all hate it together. And so now not only are we exhausted, we start the morning with a fight. She doesn't want me to teach the kids to complain about things we can't control. And teaching them to complain is really all I have to give. So it's a problem. Who is right on this, Guillermo?
Jimmy, women are always right, so I think it was. I'm sorry.
Anyway, this is what our government should be working on, because it was a tough day for Trump, too. You know, he lost a whole hour of rage posting yesterday. This guy, I don't know what kind of magic cocoon the devil gave him when they made that deal, but somehow he manages to do everything wrong, just rolls right off his shoulder. On Thursday, Congress finally forced the DOJ to post those summaries of the interviews the FBI did with a woman who says Trump assaulted her sexually and physically when she was a young teenager. Her account of what she says happened is genuinely horrifying. The FBI interviewed her 4 times. Today, 4 days later, it's like it never happened. We're right on to the next thing. On Saturday, Trump found time to take part in what they call a dignified transfer. It's a solemn event in which the remains of service members who were killed in action are returned to U.S. soil. We've now lost 7 American lives in Trump's war on Iran. And paying respect to troops who sacrificed everything as a result of a decision you made is one of, if not the most important things a president does. But God forbid he just do it normally and respectfully. On Saturday, Trump made history, becoming the first president to attend a dignified transfer while wearing his own merch on his head. He wore a gold Donald Trump ring. He wore a hat. Baseball players don't even wear baseball caps. During the national anthem, he wears one to this. And here he is checking his diaper to see.
You see, you remember when I spoke about the fight between Trump and Jimmy Kimmel, right? That madness escalated in March when Trump pivoted into a massive online victory lap over what Kimmel immediately flagged as a completely made-up award for economic achievement. Jimmy Kimmel dedicated an entire segment to satirizing the bizarre trophy, comparing it to an adult celebrating a participation ribbon at a primary school sports day. Just days later, when Trump declared a total geopolitical victory regarding tensions in Iran, Kimmel pounced on that declaration, noting that the president seemed to believe that international diplomacy operates like a game of Monopoly, where you can just shout, "I win," to collect the cash. The contrast between the executive duty and the personal leisure became the ultimate punchline when Jimmy Kimmel highlighted the president's coffin during moments of intense global turmoil. The late night host put up footage of Trump hit the green while wearing his own heavily branded merchandise, showing the ultimate lack of self-awareness. It all culminated in a brilliant critic choice reaction segment when Jimmy Kimmel introduced the world to the ultimate alter ego nickname, Donald Jennifer Trump, mocking the president's obsession with Hollywood validation. I'm sure this segment of Jimmy Kimmel brutally roasting Trump in an interesting and funny manner, I think you loved it. And if you love reactions like this, my friends, please do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I'll see you in another one.